So today I'm going to try to attempt to make an HRC replica brake pedal. So this is the goal, right? I printed this last winter sometime. There'll be a couple welded on features. This will be a turned part where the brake pivot bolt goes. So I'll turn that, and then there'll be a tab for a lever adjustment stop, and then also a tab welded on for the spring, the extension spring that returns the pedal back to the hard stop. So I went out for quotes. I tried to get some machine shops to quote this, and I got no responses, or I got back no bids. Nobody wanted to take this thing on. I even found a guy that was doing some brake pedals for Villapoto's, one of his vintage bikes. Reached out to him, no response. So I did the next thing I could think of, which was send it to the water jet shop and have them cut out the profile of the lever, and then I'm gonna go ahead and shape it so it has the right bends in it, right? So it takes a chunk of aluminum that thick to get a brake pedal like this. You could try and take some 1/4-inch thick aluminum and bend it. I'm guessing you're not going to get very good results. It's going to crack, and it's not going to be easy to bend. Aluminum's really stiff. So the approach I'm taking, I'm going to whittle down these blocks right here, and then I've got some brake pedal tips that I'm going to bend up. These are just stainless, they're not titanium. Going to bend these up, TIG weld them, and then rivet them eventually to the pedal. So I got the lever roughed in. I was using a cutoff wheel and a Sawzall. You can see the finish from the Sawzall is terrible, right? But just roughing it in. So I set it up on the mill, and now I'm going and actually setting the height of a lot of my parallel surfaces. Once I get those established, then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna see if I can get in there. I'm gonna blend in these angled cuts again and hopefully not remove too much material from my milled surfaces. But after that's done, then we sand it, give it a brushed look, add that really cool bevel that goes down the edge here that kind of gives it its signature look that identifies it as the HRC style brake pedal. So here's where we want to go. This is where we're at, and this is what we started with. So I've got a little bit more trimming to do. Anything that's dark black or has the cross hatching is still material that needs to get removed. But I've set this up on the mill, and any surfaces that were parallel down the lever I've cleaned up with the mill. There's some cuts for the brake clevis, and then a cut here for the pedal, for the tip of the pedal. So a little bit more cleaning, a couple more cuts, and then a whole lot of sanding. So I used the cutoff wheel and cut off all of these chunks, and after those were removed, I went ahead and used a grinding disc, this guy here, and got the profile about as close to the magic marker, the Sharpie line, as I dared to do. And after I was happy with that, then I used this sanding disc wheel. I think this is like an 80 grit, and that's the finish that you see on there right now on the surfaces that I didn't machine. Once I'm happy, once I cut this chamfer on here, so there's a chamfer that goes down the edge, and this is kind of the signature chamfer of this part. You want that to be a nice crisp broken edge on there. So next I'm going to turn the little boss that sits inside here, turn that on the lathe, and then we can go test fit it on the bike, make sure it's got all the bends in the right places before putting too much more time into it. I guess I do have a backup. If this all goes bad, I can always start over with this one. But it's kind of crazy to think, you know, started with that and we're here now, you know. And there's a lot of chunks and a lot of chips on the floor over there. I did a quick fit check in the basement on the bike, and I gotta thin this thing out a little bit. It's a little too thick. So this Sharpie marker, I'm gonna take that material off all the way around the perimeter of this. So on some of the flat spots, I'm gonna mill it. And then on the angled curvy sections, I'll hit it with the grinder. So I made the mill cuts here, and now I'm gonna set it up and just finish this off with the grinder. Once I get these trimmed down, and it's time to sand it. That's gonna be so much fun. I'm looking forward to it. So I'll be honest with you guys, I wasn't sure if this was gonna work or not, but this thing is turning out pretty damn sexy. So I've got it sanded down. Just been hitting it with some 180, hitting it with the DA sander, and then using this little block right here to get the waves out. And it's looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. Got that trimmed and narrowed. It's at least an 1/8 inch thinner now, and that's going to let it sit up a little bit closer to the engine case, which will be good. Still need to put some chamfers on the end here. Can't get that to focus. There we go. So chamfers on each end where the brake tip's going to go. And I think I can use this fixture I made last year when I was doing foot pegs. I'm going to do some HRC foot pegs this winter after my knee surgery, so stay tuned for that. And if you would like a pair, hit me up, let me know. So I'm going to turn a little bushing like this over on the lathe, make it out of aluminum, and this is going to go right into this hole in the brake pedal, and we'll get it TIG welded in. I made a bushing, came out pretty good. Get it to, it's a little dirty. Get this to focus. So the brake pivot bolt's gonna go inside here. And there we go. It's nice. Well, put the camera down. So I've got a nice slip fit here, and I recessed little counter bores on each end for the OEM seals. So should work just like it's intended on the OEM setup. So yeah, then we'll take the brake pedal, stick that in here, and weld that in place. I've been working on brake pedal tips. I've made 3 so far. They're all different. I've been trying to figure out where the bend needs to start and how far to bend it. And so this is the first one I did, and it's just too long, right? It's just gonna stick out way too far. I can't get it to focus. There we go. And then trying to do this bend where the two 90s are so close together is really difficult. I can do one of them with my little Kaka industrial sheet metal bender, and it's ruining my dies on there. But anyway, I can do at least one bend there, and then I put it on a piece of steel plate and then hold it with some C-clamps and hit it with a hammer and try and form it that way. So this one's out. This one, I liked the curve where the pedal is, but this bend was too close together and it doesn't line up and it looks like crap, so those 2 are out. The third one I did is the closest so far. I like the distance where it wraps over the pedal. Then I like the width of where the teeth are. So I think I'm going to try and use this one. I do have 2 more blanks here that I can bend up. if this thing starts to go south. So I've done a little bit of welding. I've got my my boss welded in here. Came out pretty good. I didn't account for how thick the weld was going to be on top of the flange. I did bevel it out before I welded it, but now when I put my pivot bolt in, it doesn't sit flush, which means it's on the underside here. It's not going to bottom out and it's going to bind. So just going to rework this weld a little bit around the perimeter of that boss and try and flatten it out. I don't want to take the weld off because the HRC ones had a visible weld all the way around. So I want to try and keep that true to what they had done. Then on the other end, I've got the pedal on there. It's welded, and it came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm gonna transfer a hole from the back side and drill it through to this side, and come up with some kind of solid rivet that I can squish in my press to hold the pedal tip on here. I just welded on the tab for the return spring on the rear brake pedal. Came out pretty good. I used one of these little chunks and put it in the mill, squared it up, and made a nice little piece out of it. I'm gonna do the same thing for the hard stop adjuster here. So I got the pedal stop welded on there. Came out pretty good. Got the whole thing welded up now. I wiped it down with some WD-40, and I'm gonna leave this brushed look on it. I don't want to hit it with any kind of polish. I'm digging this brushed look. So here it is. Almost finished product, right? I still got to rivet this on, but I'm gonna do that another day. So here's where we started, right? Big hunk of chunk of water jet aluminum, and then cut a whole bunch of chunks off. Did a whole lot of finish work. Turned some bushings on the lathe. Did some mill work, made these little tabs, got it all welded together. Made this brake pedal tip out of these stainless steel water jet cutouts. So really came together. Let's put it on the bike. Got the brake pedal installed. Got the frame guard back on there. I have to say I'm pretty happy with it overall. I'd say that pedal came out pretty good. So this side of the bike is now complete. I've got the cone pipe, I've got the frame guards, I've got the foot pegs, we've got the clutch cover, we've got the sump guard, and finally the brake pedal. So all HRC replica parts made by E34 Moto Builds. Hit me up if you guys are interested in frame guards. I'll be doing another run of foot pegs sometime this winter.